Hey everybody, how are you? I have a friend of mine on with me. We're not going to spend 2 hours on here or do anything, but I want to introduce her to you. Now, Ginger, if you'll just hold on, let me set this up. This is Ginger Winters. She's a friend of mine. I met her probably 6 or 8 months ago. Um, and we were talking. She was working for a publisher, and I had, through another author that I knew, had told him about us uploading audiobooks, and it was really working out great. And he took that to this publisher. They brought Ginger in as to kind of start this thing up for them, just to get it started. And she was in the meeting, and I was so taken by her interest and enthusiasm about it. That's what I love about this. And so I immediately connected with her. I could tell just by the look on her face that she was interested in it. And then her and I worked together on their podcast. I actually recorded a book, and it's on the podcast. And she got really interested in this stuff, and so she's not with the publisher anymore. She's got her own podcast, and it's called The Hidden Corners, right?
Right.
And I actually got to collaborate with her on her sixth or seventh podcast that she's put up. It's on YouTube, and it's going to be on all the podcast apps soon. And so I want you all to know her. I want you to know about her channel. I want you to go listen to I did a different thing for her than I normally do with my channel. And I felt like I could do that, kind of use her as a guinea pig. If it was horrible, then she could just, she could take the hit on it. But Ginger, I'm sorry to be so long winded, but thanks and welcome. And I know we have the nicest audience on the whole internet, and I know they're going to be happy to meet you. So how are you?
Well, gosh, thank you. Thank you for, first of all, for having me on the podcast, but thank you so much for all your help and assistance over the last several months. I feel like, meeting you was just a godsend for sure. And so starting this podcast was a big adventure, and you were there right along with me. So thank you for that. So yeah, the new podcast is called The Hidden Corners. And the idea I had for it is that I was always a Twilight Zone junkie. So Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits and all of those shows. So I wanted to come up with something that was similar to that. So the idea with The Hidden Corners is it's a mix of a bunch of different stories. There might be everything from a rewrite of a fairy tale to classics like Edgar Allan Poe, to fun stories like Bigfoot, like the one that you collaborated with me on, and scary stories, ghost stories. We have a feature called Around the Campfire where Clay talks about campfire stories and things that have happened out in the wild. So a mix of everything.
Yeah, he does a really good job. Matter of fact, he told the story in your very first video that you put up last week, and April and I were driving. I had listened to it, and then April and I were driving to another town to go eat lunch, and she wanted to go shopping. So we listened to all your podcasts. You had about 6, maybe 4. I think you had 4 up at that time. We listened to all 4 of them on the way, and she's like, "I love this podcast because there's a lot of variety." And there is you hear a lot of voices. Like, I got to do one. I'm going to do more if you'll let me. And what is the man's name that did the first one, that does the campfire?
Okay.
Remind me of his name.
His name is Clay Steele.
Clay's voice, your voice. It's just a great variety, great writing, and the variety is great. So I did a Bigfoot thing, and so Clay's probably going to do something different. I noticed you've got 3 or 4 more podcasts up since we listened. But if you don't mind, I want you to tell the folks how you came up with these stories. That was interesting to me because didn't you tell me your brothers and sisters used to pass the time just making up these stories and telling stories? Will you share that with us?
Yeah, gosh. So like I said, we were all Twilight Zone junkies when we were young, and my brother, who was 5 years older than me and was my best friend, we would pass the time creating stories for each other, and it was just such a wonderful part of my childhood. We were always coming up with stories, and the thing is, if the more you come up with stories, the more you notice bizarre things going on in the world around you. And so we always had lots of content to draw from. My brother has since passed, unfortunately. I lost him at an early age, but I feel like he is always with me,
Yeah.
always telling me stories. And so I know that he's a big part of this podcast too.
So you're drawing from memory and you're writing some of these stories that you two told each other. That's where a lot of this comes from, right?
That is where a lot of it originates, and then some of it is newer stuff. Well, so right now I've written all of the stories that I've been reading, and that uh, well, the ones I've been reading anyway. Clay kind of comes up with his own idea of campfire stories, but he helps me collaborate also, just like you have. Um, and what we're asking is that our listeners also send in their stories. So we have an email address. It is thehiddencorners.story@gmail.com. And we're hoping that listeners will send their stories in too. And if it sounds like something that Clay should read around the campfire, then we'll have Clay read it. And if it sounds like a story that would work really well with the Hidden Corners, then I'll read it. And then we also have Justin King on board, and Justin is reading a lot of the classics. So he's doing, Edgar Allan Poe, and right now he's actually reading the original story of Frankenstein, and I'm going to have him do Dracula as well. But some of those good old classics that people will either remember reading in their childhood, or maybe they've never read it, they've only seen the movie, and we all know that books can be so much better than movies. So we've got a variety of those things.
Yeah. That's and look, you're talking to an audience who loves to write and send in these stories, and because I've got hundreds of them. So please, you all, if you have a story that you have always kind of wanted to send to me, but you thought, well, maybe it won't fit his channel, it will fit Ginger's channel because she likes unusual. It doesn't really matter what the topic is because she's really left herself open to do just a variety of topics. So it could be, I did a Bigfoot because that story was in the back of my mind because it happened to a friend. So I'm going to link it in the description. We're going to put her email address in the description, and a link to her channel. I might even put a iCard up here. So if you just want to break away and go listen, I had something right on the tip of my tongue and my mind. It goes so fast, then it leaves, and I can't remember what I was going to say. But just go over and give it a try. I was going to say the story that really hooked me was your very first podcast, The Client. He told that story so well, and then you told the Red story, and there's 3 more up that I haven't even listened to. I'm about to get back to work when we finish this, and I'm going to listen to those this afternoon. So I'm so excited to have a podcast that I can look forward to. There are very few that I get excited when they pop up. and I think I'm kind of hooked on yours. So it's real again. It's written well. Um, please, guys, if you have a story. Oh, I know what I was going to say. There was one time where I put out a invitation to young people who now, I always say you should check with your parents if you're underage. Check with your parents and make sure it's okay. I don't like to do anything with kids without parental, but check with your parents. And if you've got a good story, send it to me or send it to Ginger. But that was always fun to do the young people's story, teenager stories is what they were. And so, anyway, what else is going on? Is this really what is this basically what you're focusing on now?
Well, this is a huge focus of mine for sure. Right now, it is. I'm also, as you know, I also paint. In fact, these pictures in the background are some of my paintings, and so I spend a lot of time doing all kinds of creative endeavors and getting ready to move soon. I'm moving out to a ranch, a horse ranch outside of town, and so that's going to be exciting too. And once I'm out there, I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of oh gosh, all kinds of great horse stories and desert stories and things that will come out of that
Yeah.
excursion as well. Um, yeah, one of the things I wanted to mention when you said you really loved the client, uh, sometimes some of these stories require more than just my voice. Being a female, some of the stories lend themselves well to a female voice, but a lot of them, it's better to have them read by a man. And I'm just so grateful that I've got you to help me with that, and Clay to help me with that, and Justin. And it was really fun with the client to have both of our voices together. And I'd love to do that with you sometime. I think that would be really fun to do.
Yeah, I've done that with Neoma Finn a couple of times, and we have a ball doing it. So you write the script, send me, highlight what you want me to do, and I'll do it, and we'll do it that way. I'd love to do that. So, but
Yeah.
before we go, I want to weren't you commissioned to do a piece for, was it the state of Nevada or Arizona? Can you talk about that?
Oh, well, I live in Nevada right now, and I actually live real close to Lake Tahoe. And I had a painting hanging in the legislation building. And that was, yeah, that was a lot of fun to be able to hang up there. They've actually asked me to return next year with many more paintings. So that's
Really?
going to be really fun. I'd like to maybe go with more of a Nevada theme at that point.
Now that's a heron. Do you all have those birds in Nevada?
We do. We have blue herons here, and we
Okay.
have white egrets as well. However, this one on this, let's say, go this way, this side of me is more of an ocean uh,
Yeah.
bird. But we have those. We have sandhill cranes. We've got a bunch of different big birds here.
Yeah, we have a for about from the spring on, I saw her painting, and so we have some of those birds back here behind us on the ponds, and I would send her pictures and videos of them, like, "Hey, we've got them too." But I actually, just between you and I actually got up close to three of them. I don't know how they didn't spook. They're the most wary bird probably in the world, next to a crow, but you can't get anywhere near 'em. Matter of fact, duck hunters will put a heron decoy in the middle of their spread because it's a huge confidence builder for ducks, because ducks know if a heron's there, it's safe. Because if a heron detects any kind of danger, they're gone. And so it's a real interesting bird. But anyway, I wanted to have you on and introduce everybody and let them see how nice you are. And guys, this is somebody who loves the podcasting, the audio projects that I do, and now she's doing, and there's a bunch of us doing it. And she absolutely, Ginger loves what she's doing, and I can, every time I talk to her, I can always just kind of sense that. So You guys get over there. There'll be links and iCards and everything for the hidden corners. Go over there and subscribe. Get her up to 1,000, like by the end of the week. Let's do it. Let's show her how much we love these stories and what a great audience you are. I would really appreciate that. So, Ginger, if you don't have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and sign off.
Well, thank you so much, Cameron, for having me on here. And I look forward to lots of collaboration with you.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Okay, guys, thanks for hanging with us. This is a short little video. I just wanted to introduce you to my friend. And I hope you guys will follow her channel and get to know her, because I think she's going to have she's got a good thing going. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.